I was a shy child. I think that was my biggest challenge throughout my grade school and high school years, to try to come out of my shell a little bit. I kept thinking I was making progress, but every once in a while I'd be reminded that I didn't look that way to other people. I still looked very shy. I grew a lot in my college years because I was exposed to a larger world. They always had us going out into the community to volunteer or observe something. And after several of these experiences, I remember making a promise to myself that I would always try to be involved in some sort of volunteer work. And I pretty much have throughout my life. I still remember the last word of advice my mother gave me when she dropped me off at college for my freshman year. Before she drove off, she said, "Try to think more about other people than yourself, and try to make the other person happy. If you can make someone else happy, you'll be happy yourself." I give a lot of credit to my mother and my grandmother. They were two strong women in my life who both faced obstacles, but nevertheless they were able to lead happy, productive lives, and they were good role models. As a natural introvert, I was always trying to follow my mother's advice. I've learned that making others happy doesn't have to be some big grand event or a present or a performance of some kind. It can be as simple as being a good friend. Throughout my life and my career as a school psychologist, I realized that what most people want is somebody to just listen to them. I've always been a pretty good listener, so for most of my life, other people talked about themselves, and I did the listening. I remember my first job as a school psychologist. I was in a small city with many immigrants, much different from where I grew up. I had the junior high and high school kids, not the little ones. I learned more there than I ever did in any class or from any school books. I remember this one girl who made a little mistake in the morning before school, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. She told the principal she wanted to see Miss McNamara, and she wasn't going in the ambulance until she saw Miss McNamara. That didn't earn me too many points with the principal, but I was glad that all the time I spent listening to her was meaningful to her. Some of the most impactful experiences I had were after I retired, with hospice patients facing the end of their life. I visited several patients weekly for extended periods of time. I met a lot of really nice families that I would never have had the chance to meet otherwise, and I learned quickly that they were no different than anyone else. They just wanted to be heard. In focusing more on them, I felt more comfortable in myself. I also enjoy working and volunteering for my church. I started a group that sends cards and notes every month to people who are sick or shut in at home. I'm involved with a consolation ministry, which helps families plan the funeral for a loved one, and I help the secretary with just various office duties once a week. All these experiences are ways that I've lived by my mother's advice from many years ago. Through listening and caring for others, I actually discovered more about myself and came out of my shell more. I think a lot of people get caught up in themselves and forget to listen. But the thing about listening that not a lot of people realize is that you get a lot more out of it than you give.